Hello, everyone. This is Boich. Now, let's continue studying drawing manga eyes. In the previous Toon engineering video, we studied the dot eyes and their variations. The simple dot eyes we're studying now will play a significant role in the world of manga and Toon, where you'll be actively involved in the future. I dream of a world where many people live their lives happily and enjoyably, incorporating the creation of manga or toons as a natural part of their hobby. This is another vision that I have. If there is a way for anyone to learn and easily draw manga, a versatile and practical method of expression that can be used anywhere, it would be amazing. A world where numerous wonderful works are present beyond borders and shared and enjoyed together. Wouldn't it be a blessing? That's what I believe. I believe that the world of creating manga, and within the world of the manga itself, hold infinite gifts to offer humanity. These simple manga eyes. These seemingly simple yet philosophical images are a precious gift that enriches our lives, allowing us to live with the joy of expressing various emotions and live life to the fullest. That is exactly the gift created by our great predecessors and prophets. It's truly amazing. Now, let's take another step forward from the dot eyes. Let's study together the style of manga eyes commonly used in modern manga. I strongly recommend that you must study human anatomy a lot. Manga artists of the world, you must study human anatomy. Human anatomy books like mine. Visit the nearby bookstores, libraries, or online stores to find human anatomy books and study them. As for my book, its foredge has become quite stained with my fingerprints. Can you see it? The stains and dirt on your book are often a telltale sign of how diligently you have studied. If you're interested in studying manga, I'd strongly recommend using human anatomy books as a reference. However, it's important to note that it's possible to draw manga without studying human anatomy at all. You don't need knowledge of human anatomy to draw dot eyes. Nevertheless, it's not always necessary to study artistic anatomy to create dramatic images and expressive characters. Although it's difficult for me to admit, drawing manga doesn't necessarily require extensive study of human anatomy. So what is a manga drawn with? Modern manga is actually a subtle combination of developed symbols, and trends. The latest trends. It's surprising that characters and manga can be created with just a combination of symbols and trends. That's the fact. So you can even apply human anatomy to the manga symbols. But you can still draw manga using only symbols. I'm going to draw the eyes in the style of Dr. Stone. The eyes of the character in Dr. Stone. Yes, the eyes of Senku. Drawing manga eyes is also very easy, like drawing dot eyes. It looks great. I like it. It looks fine to me. But the image of the eye I drew contains no elements of human anatomy yet. Not even the microgram. The thick curved outer shape line above the iris can be seen as the upper eyelid. Then what is this? Is it part of the lower eyelid? I don't know. The image of the eye that you are looking at right now is entirely symbolic. The symbol of the eye. This is the light reflection. Of course, it was drawn based on the actual shape of human eyes. The shading on the top is black, and it becomes brighter towards the bottom. They are all symbols. The reflection of light and the shading of the eye, with black on top and brighter on the bottom, are symbols that represent the transparency of the eye. If you don't draw the dark part on top of the iris, it looks transparent like crystal. All symbols are used in manga expressions. This eyebrow is also a symbol. What is this? Yes, it is also a symbol. There is no human anatomy involved here. The position, size, and shape of the eyes and eyebrows are all determined by design and trends. If you're unwilling to acknowledge it as a trend, you can refer to it as a matter of personal preference, taste, or style. However, if you want your personal taste and style to be accepted and sold in the market, you must keep up with the trends. Of course, you can present your work and show it to the public without necessarily following the trends. However, as a commercial artist in the business field, it can be a challenging path to take. Following trends can make it easier to sell your work. But if you are not focused on popularity and want to create work in your own style, you can ignore the trends. Basically, it's all about trends. The eyes in manga are made up of symbols and trends. Let me draw a different manga eye shape. This is a commonly seen eye shape in the manga. The lower eyelid. Depending on your preference, you can draw the lower eyelid long or short. You are free to draw or not draw the lower eyelid. I don't involve actual anatomical features here either. I drew this based only on the symbols and trends in the manga, without any study of anatomical features. That's what makes drawing manga enjoyable, easy, and creatively rich. The expressions in manga are so diverse. However, the method I use and recommend is to incorporate some anatomical elements into the symbols. Depending on the situation and context of the work, it can be changed. For example, the Senku's eyes. Well, although Senku's eyes are primarily based on symbols, it actually incorporates various realistic anatomical elements throughout. The shape of the right and left eyes can vary depending on the angle. And there are also elements of light reflection and three-dimensional description. So while the basic form of manga eyes is based on symbols and trends, I incorporate anatomical elements into these symbol-based manga eyes depending on factors like the mood or size of the scene, as well as my personal art style. Let's take a look at the basic symbol components of manga eyes. As you can see, the iris, the upper eyelid, the lower eyelid, and eyelashes. Is it looks the eyelashes to you? Okay? It's unclear what to call this pointy part. Whether it's the eyelashes, a shadow next to the eye, or something. While it is commonly thought of as a symbol for eyelashes, I personally believe that it doesn't necessarily always represent eyelashes. Anyway, the last is eyebrow. Manga eyes are composed of these symbols. Going forward, it is important for you to utilize these symbolic elements effectively when drawing eyes. Shall we try drawing eyes on a face? You can choose to include or exclude these pointy parts. Here are the manga eyes on the face. Erase the eyebrows. How you draw the eyebrows can create rich expressions for the character. The expression that looks sad or pitiful. It's commonly said that the eyes are the key to expressing emotions, and it's true. However, there's more to it than just that. It's surprising that when drawing manga, the eyes are not always the most crucial factor in conveying emotions. In the manga, the essential elements for conveying emotions are the shape of the mouth and eyebrows. If your plan is to depict your character's expressions through only the eyes, I wouldn't recommend that approach. But you can try if you want. Nothing is impossible in the manga. The choice is yours. However, it's the choices you make that determine whether the manga you draw becomes a good work or a bad one, and also defines you as an artist. There are many ways to draw an image. If you feel that this is not enough, the expression of a character can become richer and stronger depending on the size, position, and shape of the eyes and irises. This is a good expression. By changing the shape of symbol elements of the eyes, you can create various expressions, but let's save that for another video lesson. You know, when we draw a character's face, we don't just draw it from the front view, right? So I am going to talk about the angles. To draw faces, there are various angles to consider. Let me show you the anatomical model I have. Say hello to Mr. Head. When we draw characters in manga, we don't always draw them facing straight ahead. Typically, when drawing a character's face, mostly start like this. Start to draw with an axis of the head. It's very important. Front view. 3/4 view. You can also be drawn a 3/4 view from an angle where the head is turned slightly more to the right. Side view. When creating manga or character designs, these three angles are typically always included. Of course, we also draw the shape of the head from different angles. However, fundamentally, you should be able to draw the head from these three basic angles. Next, moderate low angle. Moderate high angle. A view of the face from above looking downward. Depending on the angles, the shape of the eyes can change based on the way the head turns from front to side. You need to practice drawing the changing shapes of the head that occur with different angles. So basically, when you draw the manga character's head, you should start by drawing the three basic views: front, 3/4, and side view. After that, drawing the head from different angles. 2 low angle front 3/4 and side view, and 2 extra views of the head. Total 5 views, and a high angle. By doing this, you can draw around 15 basic head shapes. With all of these, it's possible to create a short manga story just by utilizing these head shapes and angles. If you memorize the eyes that match these head shapes, that should be sufficient. However, practicing 15 different sets of manga eyes could take up a lot of time, so I'll show you a few examples. I already showed you to draw the front view eyes, so we have a lot to study, don't we? Draw the head a little bigger. Don't forget to draw the axis of the head. It is very important. I'll draw the eyes on the 3/4 view of the face. I'm going to draw the eyes only. And I am drawing my own style of manga eyes. At this angle, the overall shape of the left eye in the 3/4 view is almost similar to that in the front view, so you can draw it with a similar eye shape. But those who are observant may notice that the shape of the eye has remained almost unchanged, but the position of the iris has shifted slightly. Can you see the change? The position of the iris has shifted slightly from the front view eye's iris. Although the shape of the eye has hardly changed, the position of the iris has changed slightly. However, the shape of the right eye is completely different. From now on, having a basic understanding of human anatomy and three-dimensional drawing will be helpful when drawing manga eyes. Check it out. Please pay attention and notice how this differs from the shape of the eye in front view. Copy this and compare it with the shape of the left eye. I'll flip it over. Now, please compare it with the left eye. It's quite different, isn't it? Can you see the difference? It's not as simple as just flipping it over. If we look at the eye shape from the three-quarter view, we can notice some differences. These differences are especially important when compared to the eye in the corner. The reason why the shape of the eye changes as the angle changes is because when drawing the eye on the three-quarter view, since the face is slightly turned to the right, the eye shape would be like this. There's something different. That's because the placement of the eye is slightly three-dimensional. When drawing the placement of the eyes, we basically assume that they are on a flat plane rather than on a curved surface. If the surface of the face were completely flat, we could draw the eyes simply like this. But when you actually turn the face, the sides of the eyes and the contour of the face become concave due to the three-dimensional shape. The face is not flat but three-dimensional, which causes a change in the shape of the eyes on both sides on the three-quarter view. Although we don't require any anatomical knowledge or understanding of three-dimensionality when drawing the manga eye as a symbol, a little understanding of human anatomy is necessary when drawing the manga eye from a three-quarter view. Earlier, I told you that we don't need any anatomical knowledge when drawing the symbolic manga eyes yet, but now we definitely need it. So, if we think about the eyes in three dimensions, they are like sphere. Take a look at these two eyelids and compare the difference. The left and right eyes differ slightly due to their three-dimensionality. Please remember, three-dimensionality, and due to this curved three-dimensionality, the shapes of the left and right eyes differ. If the face turns the angle a little more toward the right, it's not quite a side view yet. Turn it a little more. Draw the nose in the center lane. The shape of the left eye remains similar to that of the front view left eye. However, this does not imply that drawing realistic eyes would yield the same result. When it comes to drawing eyes in a manga style, the differences are less pronounced. Do you see what I mean? Of course, the shape of the left eye in the three-quarter view is not exactly the same shape seen from the front view. It means that the changes are less. Did you notice the change a little? However, the shape of the light eye changes dramatically. Interesting, isn't it? Because of the three-dimensionality, remember and study it. And here, between the eyes, the upper part of the nose bridge has a three-dimensional shape. In the manga style drawing, we don't have to worry too much about the nose shape in 3D with angles. However, as the head turns further, the nose shape starts to affect the changes in the eye shape. But there's no need to study human anatomy just to draw the bridge of the nose at the moment. As I mentioned earlier, there are 15 basic shapes of the head with angles. If you memorize the differences that change with each angle, it will be great. Memorization is very important. When studying, many things need to be memorized. Shall we draw the shape of the eye from the side view? I'll move the drawing space to the side. The side view? It's up to you how to draw the side view head. I'll talk about the shape of the side view head another time. How to draw the eye from the side view is. There is the easiest way to draw the eye. Simply cut the front view shape eye in half. Copy it and put it here. It is like tricking and cheating. But looks not so bad. I mean, it's not bad at all. But this is a super boring way to draw manga eyes. In the manga style drawing, I think it's okay to draw the eye that closely resembles the front view eye shape. Of course, it would look strange if you draw it exactly the same way. But you can try it. Just change the position of the iris. Wow! It's surprisingly not bad, right? I thought it is a really boring and unprofessional method, but it's not that bad. But I don't recommend it. Because to become a great mangaka, you need to study hard, and for your works to appear impressive, readers should think, oh, this mangaka has really put in a lot of effort in studying manga. Your layout should look like a drawing that was done by someone who has studied a lot. Your character design should make it look like a character design drawn with a lot of anatomy study. These are very important. Even though it is a style full of symbols, adding anatomical and three-dimensional elements can create depth and dimension throughout the drawing. Whether or not you choose to include the rounded silhouette line of the eye is up to your personal preference. I'll draw it here as an example. But it's up to you whether you want to draw it or not. The position of the iris in the side view eye. Mostly we draw it here. You can draw the position of the iris like this, but feel free to draw it with a little different position. And you can erase the rounded silhouette line of the eye. It's all up to you. I think either way is fine. Next, can you see it? There is a space and surface between the eyelid and the eyebrow. I will discuss this more thoroughly next time, but for now, I will provide an example of how to draw the side view eye shape using anatomical and 3D elements. The relationship between the eye and the forehead. This is the eye shape from the side view. Let's see the moderate low angle. I'll show you just one as example. Draw a nose in the center lane. Think about the eye shape as a three-dimensional shape. The eye is a shape of a ball. The eye we see is just a part of the eyeball. When you look at the eye from a low angle, you can see an amount of the sclera below the iris. The character's gaze is facing forward and the lower sclera of the character's iris is more visible than the upper part. Think about it as a three-dimensional. It's interesting. The eye shape from a moderate low-angle view. Now draw the eye shape from a moderate high-angle view. Don't be afraid or hesitate to change the angle of the head and study and draw the shape of the eyes from various angles. It is fun to draw. When drawing realistic eyes becomes much more complex than manga style eyes, but let's draw it simply for now. I'm drawing manga eyes as simply as possible, but if you apply anatomy and 3D elements to your drawings, it will make the eyes more emphasized. In a low-angle view, a lot of the sclera below the iris is visible, while in a high-angle view, the upper part of the eye including the iris is often obscured by the thicker upper eyelid, which also includes the eyelashes. So it's okay to place the position of the iris right here. I mentioned that you don't necessarily need to know anatomy to draw manga eyes, but I have been discussing it anyway. This highlights the importance of human anatomy in drawing manga. In reality, when viewed from above, the upper eyelid, long eyelashes, and even shadows cover much of the white of the eye. So, it's acceptable to place the iris in this position. To draw a realistic eye, the sclera above the iris is not visible. See the difference? We draw the shape of manga eyes from low and high angles. This is a simple but effective manga technique that can help you understand how the shape of the eye changes from different angles. If you want to move forward and draw semi-realistic and realistic eyes for your work, studying human anatomy is inevitable. While we have studied some basic human anatomy in this lesson, it is only an introduction, and there is much more to learn. To truly master human anatomy, you must study it. To study eye anatomy in more depth, it's essential to study human anatomy. So, if you want to improve your ability to draw eyes, studying eye anatomy is necessary. In today's lesson, we learned a lot. Please continue to study diligently while watching the Toon engineering videos. Thank you for watching the video until the end. Happy manga drawing, everyone!